Hello and welcome to our show Conversation with Priya. Today, our very special guest, Vamsi Udayagiri. I'm your host, Priya Mishra. Vamsi is the founder and CEO of HESA Technology. His interests and areas of expertise include supply chain management, sales and customer management, enterprise creation, livelihood and skill development, rural marketing and promotion, stakeholders management, community development, social enterprises, impact investment, agri-tech, fintech, and rural tech. He is very passionate about rural tech. He is a dreamer, learner, and achiever, and a firm believer of affirmation. He always believes if our scores is big and our efforts are right, we can create a major impact. Rural value chains have always fascinated him, and he strongly believes that the digital pathway that has opened up should provide ample space for everyone to ride it, including fellow citizens in rural India. HESA envisioned to lead the space and provide access enablement, employment leading to empowerment while earning goodwill and profit for ourselves and our partners. His special passion towards the rural area and the farming community helps him to create the technology he is trying to help with. So today, I would like to welcome, with your help, Vamsi Udayagiri. Thank you so much for joining in today, Vansi. Thanks for accepting my request. It was very sudden, but you accepted it in a very quick time. Really appreciate. Thank you so much for joining in today.
Thanks, and pleasure is mine. Definitely, it's always pleasure to talk about our model, and especially, the shows like you, who are trying to bring, people who are wanting to do something at a deep rural like that. So, it's pleasure is mine, and looking forward.
Great. So I would like to ask you how this whole journey started. I know your journey is you are very passionate about the rural area. My question is to you that how has our technology started and your personal passion come to the technology business?
Sure. A brief introduction about me. I am a supply chain, having an experience in supply chain, aftermarket supply chain, worked in multiple organizations like Ramco, Pepsi Foods, Gillette, Tata Motors, Vestas, wind turbines. So being from supply chain, aftermarket supply chain, always, fascinating to understand how the gap for supply and demand can be bridged. And added to that, I have a deep passion for rural, and always wanting to create some successful model around rural in terms of effectively mapping the gap between supply and demand. So after 10, 12 years of corporate experience, when I was in crossroads to do something on my own, decided why can't I pick my passion and, mix it with my experience and, create a model for a rural, which is, bridging the gap for supply and demand. This is when I started my journey into rural in 2012.
Right.
And from 2012 till 2019, gained experience, worked across deep rural villages. Myself, I myself have visited more than 4,000 plus villages, understood, various aspects of how agriculture, being working, how FMCG, consumer goods, how employment is being opportunities there, how fintech or, financial banking transactions are being handled there. So with all this deep experience, we have worked extensively in rural in terms of helping a lot of these large corporates to penetrate into deep rural in terms of creating their last mile connectivity, BTL activities and all. And this is where we have gained that rural experience. And we thought after this deep penetration of mobile and internet into rural, thought that, let's start the the tech platform which we are currently working on, which is aggregation of anything that a rural consumer would need into a one application, offering this to a village level influencer whom we call as Hey Sati, so that he or she can be a last mile connect between the brand and the consumer.
Very interesting. And this initiative, how you are reaching out to your audience? Because this is the biggest challenge, because as I know, especially Indian rural villages, not everybody has that tech facility. So how are you reaching out to the end audience?
Sure, sure. In fact, the problem statement itself is the solution that we have, gotten, because not that everybody in rural has, access to the internet or access to all these solutions. This is where we are identifying, people in villages who
Yeah,
can operate a smartphone, who are little tech savvy, like the 7th class, 10th class pass, someone who is present in the village, who is son of the soil, or, who
right,
has influencing capacity in the villages. Typically, we identify the second, third generation of kirana stores, progressive farmers,
right.
women group members, and especially first-time micro entrepreneurs like local youth. Today, after especially this pandemic, there are a lot of people who have reverse migrated, and it's a
Yeah,
very good segment. If we can actually give them an opportunity, sitting in their own village, if they enable their livelihood, and it's a good opportunity. So yes, the solution is like, we are not offering this platform to the end consumer who is a farmer, or some consumer in a village who want to enable do a transaction. We
right,
are enabling this through a village level influencer whom we
right.
call Sati. As I said, he or she is actually accessing the application to cater to the last mile needs.
I love the word, like you say, hey Saki,
Hey
right?
Sati, yes. Hey Sa is our brand, and Hey Sati is our brand ambassador. So
Wow.
companion for life. So Hey Sati. So yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. I see very few people are thinking the way you are thinking, and that's what passionate. I was very keen to know your, whole initiative. It is really interesting. Very few people are thinking about the keeping people into the village and reducing the migrant towards the city. I mean, it's been a long problem for all over metro cities.
Yeah.
Government has been struggling a lot, but still there were no solution. They were trying to find that keep the youth into the village, so that 70% village livelihood and original India would be maintained that way, isn't it?
True, exactly. So, just to quote the example today, we have present in more than 7,000 plus villages where we have village level influencers. And there is a good
Wow.
amount of people, close to 400, 450, who are youth who have reverse migrated, who were
Yes.
earlier working as a delivery boy or a driver or some maid somewhere. Now they came back to their village, and now able to earn a decent livelihood of 8,000 to 10,000 sitting in a village, which is almost equivalent to a 20,000 rupees in an urban. So that's
Yeah.
how we are enabling. And yeah, it's a good feeling to actually create. See, another important thing is there are a lot of models who enable livelihoods, but we are enabling livelihoods as micro entrepreneurs, which is creating that bottom of the pyramid, entrepreneurs at the bottom of the pyramid, which is good for the nation at a larger scale.
And I love the word you use, decency, right? So the creating the livelihood with the decency, and the way people, the youth, wanna see themselves going to a city, like spending 20,000, even if they are earning same amount in the city, it's not gonna be the same outcome. Of course, it is going to be amazing opportunity, and I'm really excited to hear more about it. So it's COVID-19 has made us all dependent on digital technology, but
Yeah.
how digital agriculture could revolutionize rural community affected by COVID-19?
Yeah. So see, first of all, what I would say, especially on this entire digital way of looking at things, especially after this pandemic, definitely digital agriculture helps many livelihoods to be created in rural India to combat the COVID-19 crisis. See, by giving multiple opportunities, like right from giving advice to the farmers, accessing inputs at their own villages, and most importantly, the forward linkages, which is selling their produce to the markets, rather than traveling to multiple places. Like, for
Yeah.
example, I need to go to a bank, to mandi, to fertilizer shop, to nearby town to access multiple things. Rather than doing that, they can avail all this at a comfort of accessing from their village.
Yeah,
And moreover, it can it increases the overall food supply, and boost food security, because there is a lot of traceability across this entire value chain. So this is how digital technologies are really helping, and most importantly, it can accelerate the adoption of proven, cost-effective, scalable, sustainable solutions for a long-term farm production. And it also gives the comfort of farmers, in terms of their say, in terms of at what rate they would like to sell and all, though it all happens at a scale. But one most important thing that I would like to say is, with still corona, situation, pandemic still running around, I think now it is time for, not, looking back, but in terms of building forward, or looking forward in terms of how we can accelerate these digital agriculture technologies to the rural, so that we can protect this, the rural communities or the farming communities from the worst effect of this crisis. Because suddenly there is a lockdown, and there is, the market gets, entirely, the dynamics changes. Sometimes I'm ready with the product to sell, but I don't find the right price for my product. So there are a lot of challenges. So this is where an integrated value chain is required, and we are trying to bring in through our platform.
Very, very interesting. And it's so important. It's not only now, it's always needed. It's become more important given the scenario. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, there are three key enablers that regulates businesses and producers must work on together in order to prepare for the digital transformation of agriculture. Can you please elaborate and explain on that line?
Sure, definitely. Just a small thing before I answer this. See, we are a rural tech platform, which is like kind of beyond an agri or a fintech platform, because what we are doing is we are aggregating multiple things which a consumer would need at a village. So agri is part of it, but yes, agri is of a very large focus for it. And especially when it comes to the Food and Agriculture Organization of UN, their key enablers, see, is like how the use of digital networks can actually reach out to the rural consumers, and how we can actually evolve digital skills across this rural population, and most importantly, how we can encourage digital entrepreneurship or agripreneurship, or whatever you say. In fact, our model completely amalgamates with this, because see, our model is a combination of physical, digital, and social. Physical, because there is a person sitting in a village who is accessing. Second, digital, because they are connected onto a digital platform, and social, because it's all about influencing social, relationship and trust, especially in rural India, where relationship and trust is there. So with all these three coming together, and, a lot of digital skills being, provided to the, the rural communities, definitely, there are a lot of advantages, and HESA's model is completely aligned with the goals set by the FAO.
Wow.
But another thing is the coming to the key enablers, what they are looking in terms of what should be the benefit is, primarily the economic upliftment because of this entire digitalization, and then bringing that social equity, because today there are a lot of aspirations in rural India. If you see, last 10 years, the aspirations of rural consumers have changed really, a lot. And everyone today have a, bigger aspiration. And definitely this digitalization, can bring in those kind of changes. And lastly, the health, environmental, all related, how this entire digitalization can help them, because most important part that is going to come is the traceability, the economic, environmental health, and how these things can be impacted through the digital technologies. So that's how we look at it in terms of how these enablers can be met. And added to that, the entire model of creating micro entrepreneurs at a rural level is completely aligns with the three goals, which is acquiring digital skills, scaling through digital skills, and especially starting an entrepreneurship at a rural level.
Sure. So, like, your target is rural, and creating all that three angles of it. How has the pandemic affected the supply, demand, and piece of agriculture products?
Yeah, I think it's a tough situation, because see, whenever situations like this happen, one naturally and second artificially also, whenever or a simple rule, like whenever the demand is more than supply, there is always a shortage of supply, which leads to market factors, increase of the price and all. That challenge is definitely there. But what we have observed is, especially on the supply demand. One is the price part of it, which is there are certain external factors in terms of
Yeah.
a lot of other things, the pandemic, the situation, the availability versus the requirement. These are all things which definitely has impacted on the price point of it. But coming to the core point, which is the supply demand part of it, especially see today the biggest challenge, if you ask me, is discovery of supply.
Yeah. Yeah.
For example, if we have to look at it two ways, one is the last mile delivery to an urban consumer, and second thing is the first mile discovery at a farm level. Today, the last mile delivery at an urban is not a big challenge because you have big baskets, Walmarts, Amazons coming in and doing it. But for them, the biggest challenge is discovery at a rural level. So today, organizations like this, we work with many organizations for whom we are aggregating, saying that, okay, these are the 10 villages, these are the 100 farmers from where these commodities are available. These agriculture products are available. So discovery of supply is the big challenge, and this is where we feel that our kind of a platform or many more people kind of helping in terms of discovery. So I think entire pandemic is actually affected in terms of understanding the discovery of supply, and that's the big challenge to be addressed.
Right. So it's, of course, there are a couple of challenges given this scenario, and still you're working on that. And rural was always questionable, like the way reaching out to the end user, creating that supply chain, unawareness of the supply chain model itself, the process itself, majority of people. I really love the way you started embracing the youth, the youngsters who are actually using, I mean, even though it is a very low level of phone or mobile, every youngster has, at least one family has one mobile these days, which is good in India, and you are embracing that. I think I would like to ask that question, how you are educating them onto that digital platform, how is digital farming revitalizing the future of food? And educating those youth and connecting all that together.
Sure. See, if you see, as I said, there are a good amount of people who are sitting in rural India who operate better smartphone than me, at least. Like, I'm in urban for the last 15, 20 years. So that awareness is already being there. And with, the adoption of, tools like your WhatsApp or TikTok, the way, in fact, more adoption is there in rural. So yes, there is an adoption in the rural. What we are trying to do is we are making it so simple that someone who is a 7th class pass or who knows how to use a smartphone should be able to operate with local language, with very easy accessible options, rather than very minimal, minimalistic features, rather than developing a holistic, big solution, because that's not the need of the hour. Like, for example, as a rural consumer today, I want to withdraw money, which should happen like a Ziffy, or I have a produce which I want to sell now, or I want to buy insurance. So these are all things which we have kind of made it simple, and capacity building is a continuous exercise at our end, because our model is all about aggregating and integrating multiple services. So that means whenever we launch a new service, there has to be a training that needs to be done. A lot of our trainings are digital, doing, and also with the current situation, we are not able to do that. But whenever, during non-COVID times, or whenever things are good, we, once in a month or once in a quarter, we bring in our village level influencers at a mandal level, district level to, conduct the regular training programs like that. But yeah, with the current situation, it's all digital, virtual trainings happening. So that's on the training part of it. Coming to how digital farming is revolutionizing the future of food and all. See, technology can enable many things, like introduction of these IoT.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, a lot of these farm-based, IoT-based tools, and sensors, drones, digital, farming tools. There are a lot of tools, but in my opinion, we, especially in rural India, are very far away from this adoption at a scale. See, because many startups or many organizations are today coming, and doing certain pilots in certain geographies or certain areas, like, for example, crop traceability or soil testing or, drones related. But any invention, according to me, any invention is of no great use if it is not at a scale.
Right.
This is where, I personally feel that, technology really is now changing a lot of things, but it has to happen at a scale which is, aggregating aggregating multiple things, and our entire model, how we have created is, rather than focusing on one technology, there are a lot of technologies already there. Why can't we take best practices from each of these
Yeah.
and offer this as an integrated platform? And yeah, I think I also feel that a lot of government initiatives in terms of creating knowledge hubs, where farmers can come and understand a lot of these digital technologies are showcased. So definitely, I think the entire initiative on digital farming is already helping. In fact, we are also working in certain bits and pieces in terms of associating with a lot of IoT devices, a lot of soil testing mechanisms, or a lot of tools. But yes, it has to really happen at a scale. And before that, the penetration itself into rural has to happen. And this is where then it comes at a scale.
That brings to my next question. I would like to understand, do you think if penetrating this at the Jila Panchayat level, do you think that's gonna help a lot? Because they are actually influencer and reacher to the end user on the Jila Panchayat level, rather than they're just acting on the whole when the actual membership requirement is coming and then they are actually going for vote. They can actually bring this kind of initiative and create maybe in Jila Panchayat offices and all, they can create an education system, and a leadership team can go and educate on the different village. Do you think that can help in your initiatives?
Yes, definitely. Yes, I think. If not at a Jilla district level to begin with, at least nodal points across, a zonal level, combination of a 4 or 5 districts, where people can come and witness these digital technologies. In fact, we are also planning sometime this year where we are creating our first knowledge hub near Hyderabad, where we are almost bringing in some 18 to 20 technologies at one place, so
Right.
that our VLEs or Hesatis can come there, train themselves. Then, if farmers want to, look at more technologies, they can actually come and look into that. So we are also trying to do certain things. But yeah, I think government or major, stakeholders have a bigger role to play in terms of creating this awareness at a district level, which already, a lot of initiatives are, happening at that level. Added to that, see, again, our model, the focus is India has more than 3.5 lakh villages with less than 6,000 population. So, and they are like scattered, unorganized, but a huge market potential. So, if we can enable at a granular level, at a deep rural level, with one of these progressive farmer as a Hey Sati, or somebody from a women group, because a lot of women influence business in rural India, and more than 35-40% of our Hey Satis are women today.
Yeah.
So there are multiple ways actually this can be done. But I think it all has to reach to those, 80 plus crore people living across 6.5 lakh villages, especially where the penetration is not there. And rather than they coming, traveling like 10-15 kilometers to a nearby bank or a district headquarters or a mandal headquarters, I think if we can at least offer 50-60% of their needs in the village itself, that will actually, one, it actually increases the adoption. Second, it actually helps them to get better results. And third is, like, we are creating entrepreneurship at a very granular level, which is really need of the hour.
Yeah, and do you think see Akashvani, it's Anganbadi scheme was very big hit at that time, in 90s and then 2000 time, if you'll see. So do you think collaborating with Anganbadi type of actually initiative will also bring women in participant in this kind of initiative and will be helpful? Because they were very keen at that time, and the hunger is there. We just need to give them the tool to satisfy that hunger.
Yeah, I mean, very well, good point that you have raised. Today, the kind of like, what do I say? The kind of interest levels or the kind that are there in especially rural women, their aspirations, their willingness to actually take a step in terms of working. And yes, Anganwadi, there are a lot of models. In fact, every state has got certain models. I come
Yes,
from
yes, yeah,
Andhra, Telangana, where we have that Dwakra kind of a network where women networks come together
right.
and something. Today in Telangana, where we are working, we have Srinidhi, which is a cooperative microfinance thing. We bring it. I think it's a right point to actually engage these kind of a groups. Today we are working with Srinidhi, which is a Telangana government's microfinance initiative,
Great.
where
Yeah.
7 lakh women group members have taken loans, and we are trying to help them become micro entrepreneurs, pay their interest amount rather than going to a nearby bank through our platform. So I think it's a very good insight to tie up with lot of ground level organizations are there who are actually doing a lot of work. And if we can engage them by offering our integrated platform, it really is a win-win situation, and we are really looking into that direction.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see. It's so much important economical empowerment of the villages to grow India. Urban is not gonna give support 1.3 billion people. The villages should come out with their economical growth, and it has to like you is really fascinating, and it needs to be succeeding for sure to achieve that goal. And I have all good, like, sorry if I'm exceeding and the limit, but I would like to know that I know you are in a central area, like in Andhra and central part of India. I would like to know how your expansion is going, all part of India, and how you are thinking to go internationally on that.
Okay. Yeah. See, I mean, any entrepreneur's aspiration is to become, at least their pan-India, present, and definitely expanding to the international networks.
Yeah.
Our model has been already recognized by a lot of leading accelerator programs like GAIN, which has introduced us to a lot of international networks. We are part of Telangana T-Hub Lab 32, which is a very premier program in T-Hub. So yes, the aspiration is there. Already we started expanding to our adjacent states, which is Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Chhattisgarh. Today we have around 15 to 16% of our market coming from these three geographies, though it is just a startup. The way we are looking to scale is one, through the physical route. When I say physical, like a natural extension of we going to our adjacent states and opening offices, getting local people who come from that experience, and scaling that. But eventually, the way we are wanting to scale is through the tech route, where probably 6 to 7 months down the line, we are launching our own APIs, which will give to a lot of ground level organizations.
Yeah.
Earlier, if we're talking about these Anganwadis, there are a lot of organizations who are in talks with us, operating across India, like different states, where they have like 3,000 women group network, 5,000 micro entrepreneurs, 2,000, like different set of people whom we wanted to give our tech platform so that they can use this platform to cater to the last mile needs. So this is through the tech route is what we are looking to scale.
Yeah.
And our vision for next 5 years is to scale to 2 lakh, 1.5 to 2 lakh villages, which is almost 35% of Indian rural population. And if that becomes, if we are, if we can do that, I think that's a greatest achievement if we can. Yeah.
Right. So we are still expanding in India, and I would love to see this growing across the world. There are a lot of villages can get facilitated with this, and you so rightly said the collaboration and integration is so important, and API is the best way to go to start with for sure. But I'm just saying that if somebody wants to reach you out directly, how they reach you out, how reachable, and how your Omni effect comes here.
Okay. See, one, we are entirely building our the tech strategy right from to in a month's time we are launching our fully integrated application. Currently, we are working in 1 or 2 silos of applications. Now we are bringing in all. So we are just waiting for that, and also our mobile app version is also almost ready. In a month's time, we'll be tech ready. Then added to that, we are completely working on our digital strategies in terms of, we already have a toll-free number where a lot of people reach out to us. So now we are using a lot of digital marketing tools to reach to multiple people, so that they reach out to us, because the challenge that we have taken for this year, from last year, we are almost scaling 8 to 10 times this year. So
Great.
It can't be push based now. It has to be pull based, where a lot of people has to approach us. So we are working on certain digital strategies already. Started implementing few strategies in terms of how people can reach out to us, so that multiple opportunities can be given. Especially now during COVID times, we launched a Saving Livelihoods campaign.
Right.
Where, like for example, if I know someone in Bihar, a village who has lost job in this pandemic time, if I can refer, we are actually imparting training to them and offering them as a Hesati. So we added close to 600 in last 7-8 days with this initiative. So those kind of initiatives, we are already doing it, and really looking forward to reach out to more people, so that they take the benefit of this entire model.
Yeah, and on digital way to go, especially in COVID, it's really, really important. But thank you so much for and all your details will be given below, and I will be definitely looking forward for your growth. I'm very personally excited, and I'm gonna really invest on myself on that, like looking forward to how you're growing and how your growth is going. And I can't wait to see. And this is a common message I want to send to the audience as well. Please empower the villagers. We don't need to migrate. You should get your decent job in your own locals, and every village should be equally powerful as any urban areas. That will be a dream country, isn't it? That will be interesting.
Yes, definitely. See, because frankly speaking, if I was given an opportunity in my own town, I would have not, traveled to Hyderabad or, come forward. Having said that, see, the thing is, especially, I'm personally against migration. Migration is good to a certain extent, but obviously, I think if the grassroots level or the villages are not empowered, I think definitely that's how the entire ecosystem balance get disturbed. And tough times like COVID is actually showing us that how vulnerable these models are. And I think it's the need for the people to really do something at their own
validation required. And I don't see any problem in the migration, but I can see when it is a vast migration happens. And not many people are lucky enough to get the opportunity we got, right?
Yeah.
So still, when people migrate to the urban side, there is no possibility that everybody is equally successful. So you rightly said, decent job in their own local community. And see, ours, especially in India, it is saying that soul is in village, right?
Yeah.
So if our soul is in village, why not invest on it?
Yeah. Definitely.
Looking forward to that. Thank you so much for joining in. It was an interesting chat, and I will be looking forward to see your growth, and we'll be watching you. And your details will be given. Please, audience, especially from India, please reach out to Vamsi and his company, and help them to invest with them. And it is so personal investment required from everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing this point, because it's all about collaborative models to be developed. And that too, while we are creating that entire collaborative model. So it's all about a lot of people coming together in terms of taking this mission ahead. And really, nice to, have this chat with you. I'm really excited. So looking forward.
Me too. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done it. To know more about us, visit www.corporality.global. And also you can find more about Priya Mishra is on priya.sydney.